Hidden monks, lost tribes, and ancient secrets. These people aren't myths, they're real, and they're still out there. Deep in the green folds of the Papua Highlands, there are tribes that still live in a way that feels like stepping through a time portal. No paved roads, no smartphones, no electricity, just stone tools, fires kindled by hand, and a bond with nature that modern life has all but erased. In the Baliam Valley of West Papua, tucked between jungle-covered mountains and misty peaks, live people who raise pigs for trade, wear bark cloth, and build huts from nothing but grass and wood. Among the most well-known are the Dani tribe. They've called this land home for thousands of years, farming sweet potatoes in steep garden plots carved into the hills. Until the mid-20th century, they had no contact with the outside world. When they were first photographed from the air, officials thought they were extinct or only a legend. Even today, some villages are only reachable by trekking for days through dense rainforest. Helicopters are sometimes used to drop supplies or visitors, but most people here live without relying on anything from the outside. What's fascinating is how well adapted these tribes are to their environment. Their weapons, bows, arrows, and spears are handmade from local materials, but incredibly precise. They know which plants to use for medicine, which roots to boil, which leaves keep insects away. Their traditions are passed down not through books or screens, but by stories whispered around campfires under open skies. Some elders still practice body decoration using ochre and animal bones. During festivals, men wear elaborate headdresses made from feathers and fur, and their war dances echo through the valleys like thunder. These performances aren't just for show, they're reenactments of actual clan rivalries, settled through ritual instead of chaos. It's one of the rare places on Earth where ancient customs are still lived, not just remembered. Despite the untouched lifestyle, there are signs of change creeping in. Satellite dishes are appearing in nearby towns. Young people sometimes leave to study in cities and return with sneakers and slang. But the core of the culture remains surprisingly intact, especially in the remotest corners where stone axes still shape the forest and smoke rises from wood fires before dawn. High in the Himalayas, where the air is razor thin and snow never fully melts, stories have emerged of monks who live as if time stood still. In hidden valleys and caves chiseled into ice-covered cliffs, there are hermits who have practiced ancient rituals in near-total isolation for decades. Some say even generations. Locals whisper that these monks preserve knowledge and traditions dating back to the last ice age. It may sound like fantasy, but not all of it is legend. Places like the remote Zanskar Valley are home to monasteries so inaccessible they're buried beneath snow for half the year. Satellite images show nothing. You only find them if someone shows you the way. These monks survive on barley flour, butter tea, and pure glacier water. Some take vows of silence, others practice deep meditation in sub-zero caves for months at a time. In certain seasons, their bodies appear frozen in place, yet fully alive, their heartbeats slowed to a crawl. What's astonishing is that scientists studying extreme environments have confirmed that long-term exposure to freezing, high-altitude conditions paired with breath control techniques can lead to bodily states that honestly seem a little otherworldly. The line between myth and physiology gets pretty blurry here. The so-called tummo meditation has actually been recorded warming the body so effectively that snow melts around seated monks. A few temples hold ancient scrolls wrapped in yak leather, written in scripts barely anyone can read today. Some believe they describe forgotten lineages or star maps that predate modern astronomy. The entrances to certain cave shrines are sealed for centuries at a time, and when one recently opened, it revealed relics untouched since medieval times, and possibly far older. Are these monks really from the Ice Age? Of course not in a literal sense. But, they may be the last spiritual descendants of a way of life that began when mammoths still roamed. In a world running on speed and noise, these frozen guardians remain rooted in a silence so deep, it echoes through stone. There's a speck of land in the Indian Ocean where time just refuses to move forward. North Sentinel Island, part of the Andaman Archipelago, is home to a people so fiercely isolated that no one truly knows their language, their customs, or even how many of them live there. The Sentinelese have violently rejected every attempt at contact for centuries. Boats that drift too close are met with a hail of arrows. Drones are shot down with spears. Anyone who steps on their beach rarely makes it back. This isn't a modern reaction. Reports from colonial times describe similar encounters. Even helicopters sent to survey after natural disasters have been repelled. Yet through satellite images and long-range observation, experts have learned a few things. The Sentinelese live in small bands, build simple huts, and use handmade weapons. They fish in the shallows, harvest coconuts, and set small fires. What's remarkable is that despite thousands of years of isolation, they're thriving on their own terms. The island itself is heavily forested and ringed by coral reefs, making accidental landings almost impossible. Even the Indian government enforces a strict no-contact policy. It's illegal to approach within 3 nautical miles of the coast. This isn't just to protect outsiders, it's to protect the Sentinelese. With no resistance to modern illnesses, even a mild infection could be catastrophic for them. What's even more interesting is how they've held off the modern world with handmade tools and an unshakable will. In a sense, North Sentinel is the last untouched piece of the ancient human puzzle. While the rest of us have sprinted into the digital age, they've remained in a chapter long closed everywhere else. And maybe, just maybe, that's their greatest strength. They don't need electricity, currencies, or even outside ideas. They've chosen to be the guardians of their own past. Not frozen in fear, simply committed to being left alone in a world that refuses to slow down. If there's one tribe that has truly resisted time itself, it's the Sentinelese. Long before the Inca Empire rose to power, another mysterious civilization was carving homes, fortresses, and tombs into the misty cliffs of the Andes. These were the Chachapoyas, known as the Cloud Warriors, because they lived so high in the mountains that clouds constantly rolled through their stone villages like smoke. Their territory stretched across modern northern Peru, where rainforest and jagged peaks collide. What sets them apart isn't just where they lived, but how they buried their dead. Instead of underground graves, they placed the deceased in vertical sarcophagi, carved into the sheer rock faces of the mountains. These tombs, shaped like human figures, still stare out over the valley centuries later, untouched by looters because they're nearly impossible to reach. Their largest settlement, Cuelap, is sometimes called the Machu Picchu of the north. But, it's actually older, more massive, and until recently was almost entirely forgotten. Thick jungle had buried it in silence. It wasn't until satellite scans and drone footage in recent years revealed the full scope over 400 stone buildings. Some still standing, perched on a mountain ridge like a forgotten fortress from a fantasy novel. We still don't know what language the Chachapoyas spoke. Spanish chronicles claimed they were unusually fair-skinned with light eyes, an observation that sparked endless theories about their origin. Were they connected to early European explorers? Genetic studies say no, but the mystery persists, fueled by the dramatic way their culture vanished after the Inca conquest. Today, adventurers, researchers, and archaeologists are only beginning to uncover the full story. Every tomb opened, every artifact recovered from the cliffside ruins adds another piece to a puzzle that still resists completion. The Cloud Warriors may be gone, but they left behind architecture that defies gravity and questions that refuse to be buried. Hidden in 3 small valleys in northern Pakistan is one of the most colorful and mysterious cultures in Asia, the Kalash people. With their bright clothing, unique language, and distinct beliefs, they stand apart from every surrounding group. But what's really fueled global curiosity is a legend that traces their ancestry to the army of Alexander the Great. The Kalash have no written record of their origin, but their oral traditions tell of a great leader who came through the mountains long ago. Some Kalash people have lighter skin, green or hazel eyes, and features that seem unusual in the region, fueling speculation about Greek or Macedonian roots. Genetic studies have found some Mediterranean markers, but no smoking gun. Still, the legend refuses to fade. What's certain is that their customs are unlike anything around them. The Kalash follow a polytheistic belief system, with deities tied to rivers, mountains, and seasons. They celebrate wild festivals like Chilam Joshi with dancing, chanting, and flowing wine made from local grapes. Their architecture, language, and rituals are more closely tied to ancient Indo-European traditions than anything in modern South Asia. Yet despite their cultural richness, the Kalash are a tiny population, just a few thousand people surrounded by a world that's rapidly changing. Some traditions are fading, but others are proudly maintained, especially during public festivals that draw visitors from around the world. The question of whether they're truly descended from Alexander is still open. But in a region filled with uniformity, the Kalash remain a living relic of something older, stranger, and undeniably fascinating. In the frozen expanse of northern Siberia, where winter never really ends and the sun sometimes vanishes for weeks, live the Nenets, a nomadic people who've survived here for thousands of years with little more than reindeer, sleds, and sheer resilience. They migrate across the tundra with massive herds of domesticated reindeer, traveling up to 600 miles each year through blizzards, frozen rivers, and snowfields that can swallow vehicles whole. Their tents, called chums, are built from reindeer hides stretched over wooden poles designed to be packed up and moved in hours. What's extraordinary is how little their lifestyle has changed, even with satellite phones and weather updates now occasionally used by younger generations. Most of their tools, clothing, and even diet, frozen fish, raw reindeer fat, and berries, are straight out of the prehistoric playbook. Children learn to ride reindeer like horses. Elder women sew intricate clothing with bone needles. And in temperatures that can drop below minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, survival depends on knowing exactly when and where to move before storms hit or rivers thaw. Climate shifts and industrial encroachment have started to challenge the way of life, but the Nenets adapt, as they always have. Some of their migration routes now cross under massive pipelines, yet they keep moving season after season, guided by the stars, the snow, and the instinct built over generations. While most of the world has traded routes for Wi-Fi, the Nenets remain tethered to the rhythm of ice, wind, and hooves, living proof that you don't need walls or cities to create civilization. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, beyond the rivers and logging roads, live people who have never used a phone, seen a city, or heard a song on the radio. Some of them don't even know that the outside world exists. These are the uncontacted tribes of South America, groups so isolated that even governments, anthropologists, and satellite companies avoid them. We only know they exist thanks to aerial photos. Planes and drones flying over the jungle have captured images of cleared patches of land, long houses built from palm fronds, and the occasional figure staring up with a bow in hand. Some react with curiosity, others fire arrows at the aircraft. Brazil's National Indian Foundation has confirmed more than 100 isolated groups. Peru and Colombia have reported similar findings. These people have resisted all outside contact, either by choice or by necessity. Their entire worldview is contained within a few square miles of forest. What's shocking is that many of them thrive. They hunt with spears and blowguns, grow manioc and bananas, and gather medicinal plants scientists haven't even cataloged yet. Their lives are rich in ritual, bound to the forest's rhythms, and passed down entirely through oral memory. Protecting them isn't just a matter of respect, it's survival. Exposure to outside germs could cause deadly outbreaks. Laws now prohibit flyovers below certain altitudes, and entry into their territory is illegal for outsiders. It's one of the few times the modern world chooses to look away, and for good reason. They're not relics, they're not primitive. They are living nations, choosing to remain invisible in a world obsessed with exposure. In the age of satellites and surveillance, these tribes remind us that secrets can still survive in plain sight. On the Indonesian island of Nias, far from the busy markets of Jakarta or the resorts of Bali, sit villages built from stone so massive and precise, they raise a serious question. Who had the strength or the knowledge to build this? The traditional homes in these ancient villages sit atop foundations made from megaliths. We're talking about stones weighing multiple tons, stacked and balanced without mortar. Some standing stones reach up to 13 feet tall. What makes it more incredible is that these structures weren't built by royalty or empires, but by local clans in a place so remote it's barely changed in centuries. Oral traditions from the island speak of ancestral giants, people with extraordinary strength who could carry these stones on their shoulders. While no giant bones have ever been found here, recent studies suggest that a now extinct culture with advanced engineering skills may have left behind these clues. The structures were built for rituals, status displays, and in some cases to honor the dead. The stone lifting tradition still exists today. In some ceremonies, dozens of young men work together to move stones using logs, ropes, and chants, recreating the techniques that were likely used long before blueprints or cranes existed. It's less about strength, more about precision and timing. You won't find these villages in typical tourist brochures, but for those who seek them out, Nias offers a window into a Pacific island culture that rivals some of the world's most famous megalithic mysteries, and does it with a lot less attention. Beneath the jungle floor in Ecuador lies a cave system so vast and so strange, it once drew the interest of astronauts, explorers, and even a royal, Prince Philip himself. It's called the Taos Cave, and for decades, it's been at the center of one of South America's greatest unsolved stories. In the 1970s, an expedition led by Scottish explorer Stanley Hall ventured deep into the caves after hearing rumors from locals and missionaries that there were chambers lined with metallic books, mysterious carvings, and a hidden library guarded by monks or shamans. The stories go further, claiming the writings were not of this world, containing knowledge of astronomy, advanced physics, and lost civilizations. The cave is real. Its passages stretch for miles with vertical shafts, hidden rooms, and underground rivers. The metal books, however, remain unverified, but some researchers insist they saw strange structures, including walls that didn't seem naturally formed. A few believe the entire system was once engineered, like a buried temple, not a natural cave. In recent years, interest has spiked again. Drone scans, new expeditions, and local tribal accounts continue to suggest something extraordinary might still be hidden underground. Some even link it to the lost continent of Mu, or claim it was a refuge during ancient global catastrophes. Whether it's truth, myth, or something in between, the Taos Cave remains one of the few places on Earth where science, legend, and adventure still collide in total darkness. In the dry plains of Mali, the Dogon people have built a reputation that goes far beyond their carved mud villages or intricate mask dances. What really captured the world's attention was their knowledge of the star Sirius B, a white dwarf companion to Sirius A, invisible to the naked eye and unknown to astronomers until the 20th century. The Dogon somehow knew about it long before telescopes did. French anthropologists in the 1930s documented stories from Dogon elders describing a dense, invisible star orbiting Sirius. They even had drawings of its orbit. This led to one of the most heated debates in anthropology. How could an isolated tribe know something that requires advanced optics to detect? Skeptics argue that the information could have leaked in from earlier contact with missionaries or traders. But Dogon oral tradition places the knowledge far earlier, linked to myths about beings who came from the star's watery companion. The tale hints at sky beings descending in a spinning vessel, imagery that's caused some to connect them with ancient astronaut theories. Despite the debate, the Dogon remain culturally rich and deeply spiritual. Their homes are built into cliff faces, and their ceremonies involve detailed astronomical timing, often linked to real cosmic events. Whether they knew about Sirius B through divine observation, cultural memory, or outside influence, the fact remains their understanding of the skies is, honestly, just astonishing. The mystery isn't just about stars. It's about how knowledge travels, survives, and sometimes hides in places no one expects. In central Turkey, the land folds into strange shapes: stone cones, fairy chimneys, and towers of volcanic ash. But the real mystery lies beneath the surface. Beneath the villages of Cappadocia are entire underground cities, carved out of soft rock by hand, some stretching 8 levels deep. These weren't just bunkers, they had ventilation shafts, water systems, kitchens, even schools. One site, Derinkuyu, could house over 20,000 people. Who built them, and why? Historians once believed early Christians carved them as hideouts from Roman persecution, but newer research suggests they may be far older. Some tunnels show signs of tools used thousands of years before Christianity even arrived in the region. The design is shockingly advanced. Giant stone doors could be rolled into place to block passages. Chimneys vented smoke so it wouldn't be seen above ground. Even today, only a fraction of the entire network has been mapped. Locals still stumble onto new chambers when digging foundations or wells. Legends passed down in the area speak of people hiding from beings from the sky, or ancient enemies who swept across the land. Whatever the truth, the scale of these cities suggests mass cooperation, engineering knowledge, and a serious reason for going underground for months, or even years. Today, you can visit parts of Derinkuyu and neighboring Kaimakli, wandering through silent corridors where thousands once lived, prayed, and survived, while a forgotten world moved above them, unaware. Long before the pyramids of Egypt, before the embalming rituals of the pharaohs, there was a civilization along the edge of the Atacama Desert in what is now northern Chile and southern Peru. The Chinchorro people, living over 7,000 years ago, created the world's oldest known mummies, and some of them still look eerily lifelike today. Unlike other cultures that reserved mummification for the elite, the Chinchorro preserved everyone, from elders to infants. They carefully removed the skin, dried the body, reinforced it with sticks and clay, then painted it in red or black earth pigments. Some mummies have glassy eyes that seem to stare straight ahead, their features frozen in expressions that haven't changed in millennia. What's even stranger is how natural forces aided their preservation. The Atacama Desert is the driest, non-polar place on Earth. With almost no rain, no moisture, and consistent wind, the conditions turned corpses into natural time capsules. In some cases, the environment did the work before the people even tried. These mummies were once buried close to the coast, but shifting sands and erosion have brought many of them back to the surface. Locals still treat some burial sites as sacred, and scientists are racing to preserve the remains before modern pollution and humidity destroy what nature protected for thousands of years. Unlike the grand tombs of ancient Egypt, the Chinchorro left few monuments. Their legacy lies not in stone, but in skin, clay, and the desert itself. Their preserved dead remind us that history doesn't always rest in peace. It sometimes rises out of the ground, asking to be seen. When most people think of pyramids, they picture the iconic shapes rising from the sands of Egypt. But hundreds more stand just south in modern-day Sudan, where the ancient kingdom of Kush once ruled a territory larger than its northern neighbor. And while Egypt's pyramids have become world-famous tourist sites, Sudan's remain quiet, mysterious, and largely unknown. The Nubian pyramids at Meroe and Nuri were built between 2,700 and 2,000 years ago. Many are smaller and steeper than Egypt's, but no less impressive. Beneath them lie burial chambers that once held gold, weapons, and ornaments worthy of royalty. The Kushite kings even conquered Egypt at one point, becoming pharaohs of both lands and building monuments in their own style. For centuries, these pyramids were buried beneath sand. Only in recent decades have full excavation efforts uncovered the full scope of what was left behind. Some of the tombs contain inscriptions in Meroitic, a written language we still can't read. Others have frescoes of rituals, star maps, and even references to beliefs that combined African spirituality with Egyptian iconography. Many of the pyramids were looted long ago and erosion has taken a toll. But new preservation efforts, aided by high-resolution mapping and 3D scans, are bringing attention to Sudan's ancient wonders. Still, tourists are few and much of the region remains off the global radar. That's about it. Which people impressed you the most? Write in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.